Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Hey there, welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So glad that you've joined me here today, and I'm a little haggard from the work that I've been doing on this book, Heal Your Hunger, 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. I'm at the really final stages here, doing the editing work with my editor and working with my graphic designer, and I might have said that on the last show, but it's really true. It's an ongoing process. Hopefully it's ending soon, so it's a lot of work. It's amazing, and I found myself today literally praying to God and thanking God for my amazing life, because I am so creatively challenged right now, but not challenged in a bad way, challenged in an amazing way, in that all my faculties are being stretched and pulled and really tested, and to see how much I can do and how creative I can be and how much juice I have. And I'll tell you, what's the most amazing thing about this is that I don't have any juice at all. In and of myself, I don't have juice. And so it's helped me sharpen my spiritual senses, because I don't have the ability to edit a book or rewrite parts of this book and then create support tools for people who are going to be responding to this book and wanting more help, and all the marketing that's involved. And there's a lot of moving parts, and they're all really, I'm Grand Central, basically. They're all coming through me. And I have a lot of help, and I'm super grateful for the people who are assisting me. But still, I'm the decision maker, and I'm the one who says, please do this and please do that, and cut this out and do this and alter that. So it's all coming through me, and I found myself to be very challenged. And so there's 2 ways I can play this. I can overeat, and bury myself in food because the stress is too much, and I'm stressed out, and I'm worried, and I'm feeling the pressure of the deadline, and I can't take the pressure, and I need some relief from my racing, worrying mind, and things aren't going my way, and all these, all this turmoil that could be happening, to which I would respond with eating. Okay, this is my old self. This is former Tricia. But what's happening instead, thank God, absolutely, is that I am turning more and more to spirit for help, because I can't possibly pull all these strings. I don't have the power to pull all these strings. I don't have the power to make this all happen. I don't have the personal energy to make this all happen. I don't have the health. I don't have the wits about me, or the clarity, or anything. So, in and of myself, none of this would be happening. And it's only happening through the grace of God. And I don't mean God in a religious sense. I just really mean that wonderful, powerful source of wisdom and inspiration and guidance that is working through me. So that's my alternative number 2. I either eat for juice and energy and clarity, or at least, the power to muscle through, or I turn to spirit, my inner divine spirit, for the strength and the guidance and the energy that I need. And thankfully, that's the choice I've been making. I mean, I will say it would be pretty devastating to overeat my way through writing a Heal Your Hunger book. So I can't say that's not an option, because I, as powerless as I am over food, it could happen. And I obviously probably would abort the mission and not write the book. But my point is that God is amazing and can fuel me and guide me and direct me and energize me if I will turn within to this inner resource that is with me all the time, available. I just have to tap into it. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been using my self-care success secrets, like I talked about on the last show, every single day. I'm doing every single one of all 6 of them, because I don't want to skimp on any of them, because I've got to get every bit of juice I can get in order to make this happen. So I just want to give credit where credit is due. This is not me doing this. It's really beautiful, wonderful, sweet spirit working through me. And I'm just grateful for the tools, the Heal Your Hunger tools that are available to me that I am using, exhausting actually, to make sure that this all gets pulled off without a hitch. And it has been. I'm just so, so grateful. Knock on wood, I'd say. But anyway, it's good stuff. And it just makes me more grateful. I just say, thank you, God, for this amazing life that I have, that I get to do this. I get to do such a fun, creative project. My life's work, and also a real dream to publish a book. I mean, what a beautiful thing. It's certainly been a desire of mine for many, many years. So I feel blessed. I really feel blessed. You can pick up the book on Amazon for 99 cents right now if you're interested. Please pick that up. It's the Kindle version. I'll show you how you can get the actual book very soon. I'll be announcing that a little down the road. So what I want to talk about today is the third step in my 7 steps to end emotional eating now. And that is, the title of that chapter is actually called Clean Eating. And I'm just going to tell you a lot about what that means to me. And I kind of like the term clean eating. It seems to be kind of a modern term people are using right now around eating healthfully and without toxic substances or terrible, additives that junk food companies put into their foods, into the binge foods and whatnot. But really, clean eating is so much more than that for the emotional eater, and that's really who I am talking to here. There's so much diet advice out there, and you've probably listened and read and watched about all kinds of diets and trying to crack the code, trying to figure this stuff out. And I just say, put it away, put it away, put the diets away. Just stop chasing that rabbit, because there's a better way. When I talk about clean eating, it immediately connotes unclean eating. If there's clean eating, there's a way of unclean eating, or dirty eating, perhaps. I don't call it that, like dirty dancing, dirty eating. But I will say, in the throes of my binges, my eating was pretty dirty, pretty unlovely, if you will. I by nature have been a binge eater, a really all-out binge eater, where I would buy massive quantities of food and stuff it in my face in a short period of time. I couldn't leave anything uneaten in the midst of a binge unless I was so stuffed I couldn't eat anymore, in which case I would throw it out and declare I'd never eat it again because it was so disgusting and I was so full and I felt so sick. It just seemed like a food I would never want to touch again. But after passing out, in the middle of the night from a binge and waking up a few hours later with a little bit more room in my stomach, I would go back to that food in the trash and I would eat it. So, that's the kind of overeater I am, or at least was. And I didn't start out that way, of course. I started out with just eating a lot of food or nibbling or, always just eating the cookies and the candies and the cakes. I mean, they just had a big draw for me. Any sugar, starch, and fat. But as time went on and as I looked for a solution, as I joined a 12-step program, as I knew there was, a way to overcome the problem, or people seemed to be doing it around me, then my binges seemed to get more violent and more urgent and more desperate. I think because I was always on a time limit. Like, I'm going to fit all this food in and then I'm going to go back to the 12-step program and get it together, or get back on the abstinent plan or whatever. So there's always this, this quick hurry, do it because it's going to end kind of fervency about it, which just made it more violent and more harmful to my body. So it was quite a ride. It got very dark for me. In my experience, one doesn't just binge, their mindset, their frame of mind gets really dark and really scary. My consciousness in that binging mode was really scary because I hated myself so much. I hated what I was doing to myself. I was so ashamed, and then I'd hide it and I'd lie about it, and I'd try to, get rid of the evidence, and I'd try to exercise my way, out of the consequences of my binges because I wasn't able to vomit or do other things. I physically wasn't able to do it, so I just pack on the pounds. So that cycle of trying to get rid of the consequences and not being able to, and growing in my pants and having to find other pants to wear, and not washing pants for weeks because I knew they'd shrink and I wouldn't be able to wear them anymore. I mean, just gross stuff. So that's why I kind of laugh at the term dirty eating, because absolutely it was dirty, stains down the front of my sweater from spilling because I was eating so fast. I mean, dust from the cheese on the popcorn. I mean, just terrible. And if you've been there, you're probably nodding your head right now and relating, because it's quite an experience, isn't it? Binging to destruction. So I'm super grateful I'm not there today. Praise God I'm not, and I hope you're not either. So anyway, that's dirty eating. So let's talk about clean eating. Clean eating to me is eating in a way where it nourishes me, it feels good in my body, and there's boundaries around my food. And by boundaries, I don't mean, weighing and measuring my food, because that always seemed too constricting and restrictive for me, or a little obsessive, and I just didn't want to go there. And I've certainly done that, and sometimes it benefited me, I think, for a short while here and there. But overall, by clean eating, I really aspire to eat in a way that comes naturally from within. Instead of being imposed from the outside, it's something that grows from within. And what that means is that this Heal Your Hunger plan, 7 steps to end emotional eating now, is designed to help a person start waking up and becoming conscious of themselves, their feelings, their habits, their thoughts, what's in their heart, and start clearing that stuff away so that they can feel better about themselves and naturally want to feed themselves with natural, nutritious, healthy, non-destructive foods. And to me, that's the only hope. That's my only hope of eating well and being thin, is to have it come from within. There's no possible way on planet Earth that I could lose weight and keep it off and not binge if it was a solution imposed from the outside, a plan, a food plan, whatever it is imposed on the outside in. This has to grow from inside. In order for it to be sustainable, you might be able to impose something on the outside temporarily. We've all done that, right? We've all done diets. We've all done food plans. But I'm talking about growing from within, so it's a part of me. It comes from a sense of self-worth and self-esteem and a sense of emotional freedom. Because as an emotional eater, I was burdened with many dark emotions that I would attempt to cover with food. And so clean eating for me is eating in a way that I don't crave things that are unhealthy for me. I'm not, gripping the side of the table, trying not to eat that cookie. That's just too much work. I'm sorry, but food is way too powerful for me to fight it by willpower. So I have to have a better way where those cravings are lifted from the inside out. So, but it's kind of a catch-22, because here we are as emotional eaters, in order to not emotionally eat, we have to deal with what's driving us emotionally, but we can't really deal with what's driving us emotionally if we're overeating. Okay, so we can't just be eating at McDonald's every day, and expect to grow in consciousness and awareness of our emotional selves. It's probably not going to happen, So, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, do we clean up our eating and then we become more conscious and we can deal with what comes up? or do we deal with what comes up, to whatever degree it does until we don't want to eat? And it's a tricky thing. So what clean eating is about is having some parameters around my eating that aren't meant to be a diet or a food plan, but more as a way for those feelings to be able to emerge. Okay, so I have to eat in a way that I can become more conscious of my feelings so that I can deal with my feelings. And that's really what I'm talking about. And that's really what in my book I propose for somebody is some very gentle guidelines that can help a person clean up their eating. I mean, let's face it, when we've been out there in the wilderness, going from fast food joint to fast food joint and eating all the cakes and cookies and ice cream that we can get our hands on, we don't really know how to begin eating right, or eating in a clean way. So even though we might have known it at one time, when things get turned upside down, it's really hard to get back on track. So gentle guidelines, but nothing having to do with a diet, because I can't impose a diet on anybody. Hell, I can't impose one on myself. So I would never deign to tell somebody what to eat and what not to eat. What I would do, and what I have done, and what I've done with my husband for close to 30 years, is help people feel safe enough and loved enough to get honest about their emotions and also about the way they're eating. Because when we're eating things that aren't healthy for us, there's always an element of denial involved. Because we are deniers to begin with. I mean, emotional eaters, we lie about what we eat. We lie to ourselves mostly about what we eat. We might lie to our family or friends, not wanting them to know how bad things really are, or how out of control we are. But we mostly lie to ourselves. We rationalize what we eat. And a lot of times we're not conscious. We don't realize, that eating corn and potatoes for vegetables isn't the highest and best and cleanest choice we could make. To us, it's a big stretch to eat any vegetable at all. So eating corn and potatoes, the starchiest, most sugar-dense foods there are in terms of vegetables, that just seems okay. And I'm not saying it's not okay. It's still, it's still a pass, perhaps for you. But the fact is that I was eating those heavier, dense foods, whatever kind of food it was, fat-filled, salt-filled, sugar-filled foods. I was eating heavier, hotter fuel because I had to have it emotionally. So this is where the self-denial comes in, is we don't realize that we reach for more fattening foods as emotional eaters because we simply feel like we need that kind of padding. We need that kind of comfort in food. Eating a salad, it seems like way too out there for us, or strictly diet food. Never could seem like something we'd enjoy or crave, for goodness sakes. And yet I crave salads all the time now. I mean, my favorite foods are salads or the greens that I put in salads. And I even put greens in my smoothie in the morning. So, that was a foreign concept for me at one time. But my point is that, the foods we're drawn to and the stories we tell ourselves about being big boned or having a slow metabolism, which those may be true also, but the point is we use these excuses as reasons why we're overweight instead of looking at the fact that we're emotional eaters, and we are overeating over our emotions. And it's amazing, because I do this work and I tell people what I do when they ask, I'm always getting people telling me their stories. They're like, oh, I'm not an emotional eater. And it amazes me when an obese person tells me they're not an emotional eater. And I'm thinking to myself, that's probably not true. You probably are and just don't know it. And so, there's different levels of denial in this condition. Emotional eating works so well that we don't know ourselves when, we become very much strangers to ourselves because the food works so well to anesthetize us and to blot out our consciousness, to blot out the truth. So Anyway, super important to realize that clean eating is about so much more than just eating greens or not eating, chemicals or additives in our food. It's really about, from the inside out, craving to do good things for myself. So gentle guidelines are super important around our food, really not from a weight loss standpoint, but from the standpoint of being able to access our emotions and the truth about who we are, so we can address it and face it and unburden ourselves of that pain, of that fear, of that guilt that I've talked about in the PEP formula. So that's really what it's about. There are, so many different tools and tips that I offer in this book about just how to eat in a sane, clean way around your meals, and putting the food on a plate and sitting down to eat, not eating standing up, not eating in your car while you're driving, at your office desk, while you're working. I mean, these types of habits need to be cleaned up. I mean, we can't be eating on the fly. We can't, statistics show that we will eat at least 50% more if we are eating on the fly and we haven't planned our meals, because we're eating junk food. We're eating empty calories and sugar, which adds up the calories really quickly. So, there's a lot of method to the madness in terms of self-care, eating in a self-caring way. Other examples of that are, really preparing our foods, learning how to prepare food for ourselves in fun and easy and quick way. I mean, people always think cooking means taking a lot of time. I cook every day, and I'm telling you, it takes me 10 minutes because I'm doing it sort of like, I think it's half fast food, half prepared, or half cooking. I buy things from Whole Foods that can be made easily and made into a meal very easily. So I can't say everything's like labored over at all, but I'm still making it. I'm still turning on the stove. I'm still heating things up or cooking things and putting it all together in such a quick, fun way. So I'm going to be talking about that in the book. But the bottom line message is self-care. The bottom line message is feeding ourselves in a way that is loving and self-caring, and to the end of, basically toward the end of being able to grow in an emotional way so that we gain emotional balance, so that we can rid ourselves of our emotional baggage, so we can be free from the cravings that strike. They seemingly come from nowhere, right? They strike us. We're struck by the craving for sugar or chocolate or whatever. But in my experience, those cravings have very much an emotional root cause. And so eating in a clean way and in a self-caring, a self-loving, and an intentional way, intentionally buying vegetables, intentionally going to the farmer's market so we can get the freshest, straight from the garden and from the farm vegetables that we can cut up and feel good about eating, because we're contributing to, the good of the planet, the good of the farmer, the good of, just walking to the farmer's market. I'm spoiled. I lived a block and a half from the farmer's market. But whatever we do to get to the farmer's market, that effort pays off in ways we don't even know. That we don't even know, because we are contributing to an ecosystem of good and of hard work and of just pure innocence and goodness and purity. So anyway, these are things that matter to us as emotional eaters and do contribute to our ending emotional eating. So you'll learn more in the book about the details and all the tools that I offer. There's a lot, and I don't really go into them, can't really go into them right now, but suffice to say that you'll be nourished by the clean eating chapter. You will certainly be nourished, and you'll start to see eating in a new way, and you're eating in a new light, and you'll begin to make changes because you'll want to. You'll just want to, and you'll be excited to. So I'm really psyched for you to hear this and read this, because it's good information. It's helpful. It's not about diet and exercise. It's really about you. It's about getting clean. It's about getting conscious. And it's about true self-love in a way that just rockets you into a whole nother dimension. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of my Heal Your Hunger journey and my journey of bringing this information to you. I feel so honored to have you here listening in this show. I mean, I have people come to me and friends tell me they're listening to the show and I didn't know. And I'm like, wow, thanks. Like, I feel so honored. I'm so grateful. So please share it with your friends. Let them know about the Heal Your Hunger show. We're all about helping people end emotional eating now. And I think focusing on that in a show is super important because it's a big problem. It's an epidemic in our world. We call it an obesity epidemic, but for me, it's an emotional eating epidemic. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will talk to you real soon. You take care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.